Welcome to Neural News Hub. I'm your global analyst, and today is Monday, June 15th, 2026. Guys, the geopolitical landscape has just experienced a seismic shift. The war in West Asia ends tonight. In a truly stunning diplomatic twist, the US and Iran have agreed to a permanent peace deal. This is crashing oil prices and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. But, and this is a massive but, do not mistake this peace for a truce. Because even as the naval blockades are lifted, Washington has just dropped a ruthless software blockade, completely cutting off global access to Anthropic's most powerful new AI models. The shooting war is stopping, but the AI Cold War, yeah, it's just begun. Let's break down the strategic stories shaping our world today. Here's what we're looking at today. We'll start with that stunning diplomatic twist, then dive into the Geneva Accord backlash. After that, we'll see how the software curtain drops, go inside the AI blockade itself, and finally, map out the new battlefield of 2026. All right, part one, a stunning diplomatic twist. We are officially seeing the end of kinetic operations. Now, this Trump-negotiated Geneva Accord is an absolute game changer, right? It's a massive win for global inflation. President Trump actually announced the deal directly, explicitly ordering the immediate removal of the U.S. Navy's blockade on Iranian ports. He said it himself, let the oil flow. And with the Strait of Hormuz reopening toll-free to international shipping, well, energy markets are reacting violently. We are literally seeing global oil prices crash as we speak. To put this into perspective, this entire conflict erupted and resolved at breakneck speed. It all kicked off on February 28th when the U.S.-Iran war officially began. We had a highly volatile period, then a temporary truce hit around April 16th. Fast forward to today, June 15th, and the peace framework is completely finalized. This locks both sides in for the official signing ceremony, which is happening this Friday in Switzerland.
So what does this actually look like on the ground? Well, the mechanics of this memorandum of understanding are pretty strict. Step 1 demands the absolute, immediate, and permanent termination of military operations across all fronts, period. Step 2 gives Iranian naval forces exactly 60 days to clear out all the underwater mines they scattered during the conflict, which is absolutely crucial to restore maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. And finally, Step 3 gives both nations a really tight 60-day window post-signing to launch technical negotiations. They have to figure out a mechanism to safely downblend and dispose of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. It's a tight squeeze for sure.
Moving on to part 2, the Geneva Accord backlash. Because, as you might expect, this peace deal is incredibly fragile. Look, while the world celebrates a diplomatic victory, it has triggered a furious political civil war inside Israel. Officials in Tel Aviv are outright refusing to withdraw from southern Lebanon, Syria, or Gaza. In fact, Israel's far-right factions, including the national security minister, are warning they simply aren't bound by Washington's terms, and they're threatening unilateral action. And on the ground, Israeli strikes on Hezbollah militants in Beirut are still happening. So we're really seeing the limits of this newly minted truce being tested right out of the gate. And honestly, the distrust is entirely mutual. Over in Tehran, Deputy Foreign Minister Kezem Garibabadi threw some heavy caveats at the news. He made it crystal clear that this agreement was forged in an environment of profound continued distrust. He even said they're going to closely monitor the U.S. commitments. One academic study on these talks perfectly described it as a mutually threatening equilibrium. Basically, both parties think making concessions is strategically dangerous, so they're relying heavily on these tiny, incremental steps just to test the waters. Which brings us to part 3, the software curtain drops. We're witnessing a hard pivot to the digital Cold War. Guys, we are literally watching a tale of two blockades unfold. Think about it. On one hand, the physical war is ending, lifting the naval blockade, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and letting crude oil flow globally. But on the other hand, a massive digital war is just beginning. Look at the tech strategy here. The U.S. government isn't just banning microchips anymore. They are banning the software itself. By forcing Anthropic to suspend its most powerful models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5, Washington is throwing up a brutal, strict digital citizenship wall. Basically, if you don't hold the right passport, you just don't get the code. So what's the legal machinery actually driving this? Well, President Trump just issued National Security Presidential Memorandum 11, or NSPM 11 for short. It's built on 4 main pillars: adoption, adaptation, assurance, and accountability. The goal is to aggressively accelerate AI adoption across U.S. military and intelligence agencies. But here is the real kicker. It mandates the default termination of government contracts with any AI companies that show a pattern of conduct inconsistent with these policies. Oh, and it also demands an immediate update to the Pentagon's primary directive on autonomous weapons systems. This is serious stuff.
Let's dig a little deeper in Part 4. Inside the AI blockade. This is the battle over Anthropic's frontier models.
Okay, let's look at the current status of these models. Both Fable 5 and the highly capable Mythos 5 have been abruptly and completely suspended for all foreign nationals. Why? Well, the catalyst was a specific jailbreaking technique. Apparently, Amazon flagged a vulnerability that could bypass the model's safety guardrails to hunt down cybersecurity flaws. Because of that national security directive, they were pulled globally. Meanwhile, if you look at their older legacy model, Opus 4.8, that one remains fully available, so it's a highly targeted blockade.
But here's where it gets really wild. Anthropic isn't just sitting there taking orders. They are actively wielding their own immense power. Tech strategy circles are reporting that Anthropic secretly implemented its own internal safeguards. Get this. They use techniques like steering vectors to silently degrade Fable 5's performance if a user tried to use it to develop competing large language models. Yeah, you heard that right. Anthropic's core philosophy clearly seems to be that they alone should have the power to develop frontier AI safely. It's this crazy alignment of talent, mission, and business that makes them willing to silently alter their own models to enforce their own policy preferences.
And just to help you wrap your head around the sheer mind-boggling scale of the resources in this tech arms race, think about this number, $1.25 billion. That is the monthly value of SpaceX's Colossus 1 data center contract with Anthropic. That's every single month. This facility was built in an insane 120 days, and it houses 220,000 GPUs running on 300 megawatts of power. That right there, that is the industrial bedrock of our new digital Cold War. Which brings us to our final takeaway in Part 5, the battlefield of 2026, the shift from geography to algorithm.
We are literally watching the very definition of global power rewrite itself in real time. Think about it. 20th century power, that was entirely defined by geography. We're talking naval blockades, tanks, crude oil, and the physical control of choke points like the Strait of Hormuz. But 21st century power is a completely different beast. Today, power is defined by algorithms, massive GPU data centers, steering vectors, and national security directives that lock down closed model weights. The physical chokeholds are finally listing, sure, but the digital walls are rising higher and faster than ever before.
So the tanks are rolling back, but the supercomputers are just spinning up. The battlefield of 2026 has officially shifted from geography to algorithm, which leaves us with one massive question. If the kinetic war is over, how do we survive the algorithm? Stay informed and stay ahead. Please hit that like and subscribe button for more deep dive updates and explainer videos just like this one. Thanks for joining me on Neural News Hub, and I'll catch you next time.